Hello. So a little bit later than scheduled, but welcome to another edition of Exhale TV. So the reason why we're a little bit late is because just me and Emma were having a chat about all of the amazing things that we have got in our brains, all these ideas about how we can support the Exhale community, particularly working with children and how we can help them through this lockdown period. So, as you jump on, please do let us know who you are and where you're watching from. Give us a little love heart or a thumbs up, whatever you want to do to let us know that you are there. And the same if you are watching on the replay. So, as usual, we love to watch and read the comments back. So please do act as if you are live with us. Let us know #replay if you're watching on the replay. So in a moment, I'm going to introduce Emma formally, but for some of you, she is a familiar face already. We're going to be talking about something that is really important, particularly at the moment, is how powerful meditation can be when you are pregnant, when you have just had a baby, and just for mums in general. So we're going to be talking all about that because that is Emma's specialism. So if you've been watching our 3-day challenge, if you've been part of that, and the energy for that's been amazing, we've been talking a lot about the power of niche and the power of having in your mind an ideal client that you wish to share your beautiful gifts with. So Emma's a perfect example of that. So we're going to introduce her in a moment. But I just wanted to take the opportunity just to remind people that if you are interested in becoming an Exhale instructor, we've got a beautiful community of instructors. It's growing by the moment, which is amazing. But our new package, the doors for enrolment into that package close on Saturday. So this is your final few days to be able to make sure this is the right fit for you. So this is the opportunity for you to ask us questions. You can email me, and also you can book a conversation with me. It's no pressure. It's all about coaching you to get yourself in a position where you are ready to teach, and then you make the decision from an informed place whether Exhale is right for you or not, or whether you're going to go and train with another provider. All of this has been about just getting as many people as possible to spread the power of these beautiful gifts out into the world when we absolutely need it most. The other thing I'm so excited about, actually, while we're on the topic, is Thursday night. I am leading a masterclass, taking you through the 3 mistakes that everybody makes when they become a meditation instructor. I see it all the time. People are stuck in these traps of where they're just lose motivation in the end because it's just so hard. So I'm taking you steps you need to take in order to not fall into those traps. But this is the exciting bit. And then we're going to take you through a beautiful manifesting ritual. So if you are into law of attraction, if you like the idea that we are able to call in our big dreams and our visions, and that we have this infinite amount of power within us to be able to do that, then please do join me. The link is probably all over our Facebook group. It's all over my page. You'll see it on Facebook ads. But if you're stuck, please do let me know and I'll get you an invite. It's limited spaces. And it's just going to be beautiful exhale style meditation, heart opening, deep meditation that drops you into body coherence as well. Body coherence, for those of you who don't know, it's the optimal state of consciousness manifestation. So it makes the whole process really super easy. It's something that we've now integrated into our power up sessions. If you have not been to an Exhale power up session, hello, you need to come to one. Exhale is now. Oh, it's so exciting. Those are my absolute favourite people to see my instructors teach. And Emma's just been through that training as well. So that's everything that's happening this week. So please do join me on Thursday, even just to get an hour just to yourself, just relax. So the connection's a little bit laggy for some reason. We're a little bit, Emma's like frozen drinking her drink at the moment, but hopefully she'll be with us. So I'm going to introduce her in a minute and hopefully she'll be, there she is. You were laggy for a minute. I don't know if you're caught up with me, you can hear what I'm saying.
You're frozen for me, so
you'll be with us. So I'm going to introduce Emma now. So Emma was one of she came in on the second intake of Exhale.
You're lagging on mine, so I think it's just.
Yeah, let's see if you're a little bit behind. Let's see who's here. Yes, so Emma was on the second intake of instructors. I've got to know Emma really well. She's now going to be heading up our kids training team and delivering our training to our instructors that want to teach children from age 2 to meditate. So if she's there, she can hear me okay. I'd love for you, Emma, to introduce yourself, introduce both your businesses, because we're going to talk a little bit today about, on top of the power of meditation for mums, we're also going to talk about how you've managed to integrate both your businesses and manage both of those things. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about your journey to become an Exhale instructor, about your business, and then we'll take it from there. You might have to see. The internet's really not good. Do you know what it is as well? It's also Mercury retrograde. So if anyone knows anything about astrological things, Mercury retrograde, oh, I've lost it completely. Mercury retrograde is a time period where technology is not our friend. So it's standard. You should never travel. You should never work with technology during Mercury retrograde. So hopefully we'll get Emma back. But in the meantime, we'll just have a quick chat about what I know. Here she is. She's coming back. Let's see. Let's see if we can get her on. Thank you for bearing with us. Let's add her back to the screen.
I'm back.
Oh, where did you go?
I fell out. That was me saying I plugged into my router, it'll be fine, and then I dropped out completely.
I was just saying, since Mercury retrograde, it's fine. We're accepting it. But while I've got you, talk to me about
back quickly.
Yeah. So how did you?
So I am a mum to 2 girls. I've got an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. I was a primary school teacher. And during that time, when I had my first daughter, I dropped down to being part-time, but that was 4 days a week, and so it wasn't really part-time. And I was finding it really hard to sort of integrate my role as a mum with my role at work and doing those 2 separate things. And so I knew I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted to do something else. And it was at that point that I trained to be an antenatal teacher, which I did, well, I've done now for the last 8 years. And over those 8 years, you know, I had a second child. I dropped even more days at doing the school teaching until eventually handing it in completely last year. The year before, 2019. So I left my school job, and then I then continued with my antenatal business and was an Exhale instructor as well. So I trained to do both of those. Plus I was still school teaching through some of that as well, which, it was quite busy. But I mean, talking about the training, and, it was so easy and to fit around my life. It didn't feel like, and because it was a passion of mine, it was something that I wanted to do. It hasn't felt like that bit's been the work. It's always been my stepping stone towards working away from the thing. Even though I love being in the classroom with children, I love the teaching part. It's all the stuff that goes with that, and that I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my role as a mum and able to work at the same time. And I wanted something that afforded me the opportunity to be able to feel like I was doing both jobs at least a decent level. Then coronavirus happened, and that sort of added a whole other spectrum in. But yeah, it was that Exhale, training to do Exhale and also doing the antenatal stuff. It has meant that I've been able to build up a business and be able to be there more for my children, especially right now as well.
I do think that, I think, oh my word, what on earth did I do
Yeah.
At the moment, if I didn't run my own business where I can set my own hours and I can be working till sometimes, I mean, it has swings and roundabouts of benefits and disadvantages.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I'm working on the couch still, watching a bit of Corrie or whatever I'm watching. But I think, gosh, if I wasn't able to do that, how would I homeschool and have a job? Like, I have no concept. So props to anyone who is out there currently doing that. Insane.
So hard.
Work. Yeah, really, really well done if you're watching, if that is you.
Yeah.
So we are in a really, really nice position. That's something that I'm really, again, like that really excites me about what we offer for people with Excel. It is an opportunity where you can be there for schools when we go back to school, the drop off, the pick up, never miss an assembly. All those things that we've had to sacrifice as well as a teacher.
That was it. You were there for other people's children, for the play, for watching them in the plays, and the pick up and the drop off. But my own children, for years, Imogen was saying to me, "How come you never come in on the parents' afternoon to look at my work?" And I'm like, "Because it's always on the days I'm at school, and those are the days I can't." And the guilt, the mum guilt. That yeah, and so it was.
Anyway, don't we have enough of that mum guilt, regardless of what's going on?
Yeah.
We've always boosted ourselves up for something. I just wanted to really quickly, before we start to talk more about the power of what you teach in both your businesses, is obviously it was an absolutely massive step, and I remember you building up to it when you decided to leave your teaching job. So you decided to walk away from all of that security and a career that you've worked your entire life for. So just talk me through what made you be able to make that choice. Was there any practical steps or anything that you found that was really powerful for you that kind of got you to that really confident place of making that decision and following through on it?
It's funny. I've spoken to other people who are, and people who I look up to, and who I admire, and actually, when I've spoken to them face to face pre sort of lockdowns, they are actually further. I don't want to say behind because that's the wrong word to use, but they're the step where I was still waiting with my foot in the door in my teaching career. And whenever I've spoken to them, like, God, I look up to you because you're, and I'm like, actually, I've done that leap. I've done that scary part. And I must admit, it took me a really long time, and I did keep my foot in the door for quite some time. And I was really afraid of, like you say, letting go of that security, almost letting go of that part of my identity as well. 14 years of that's who I was. How did I know to be anything different? And in some ways, I suppose the situation that we're in now, it gave me the push. It almost forced my hand as well. I'd already left, and I was doing a little bit of supply work. And then when we went into all the lockdowns, that supply work was taken away from me, and it really helped me to see that actually I can do this. It's okay. It's okay. All the fears that I'd had about the lack of security, that not having that income coming in every month, waiting until like the 28th of every month, when you knew that pot of money was going to drop in. It was like, it's okay, I can get out of my overdraft again. But all those fears that I was holding on to about and most of mine was around the financial security. Because you get yourself into a position, don't you? You've got the mortgage, and you've got kids, and the dancing lessons and this and that, and you build your life around a certain amount of financial security. But I've actually found that since I've let go of that financial security, I actually feel less afraid of the money than I did when I actually had a regular income. So every month I knew I was going to get this this paycheck at the end of every month. That income was coming in. And yet I was always still every month, feeling like we were clutching and never having enough.
Yeah.
And since I've not lost it, but since I've sort of let it go, I've let go of all the fear and the anxiety that was attached to it, and the worry and I used to be afraid to log into the banking app and look at it. Yeah, I was terrified. I'm not terrified. I'm realistic. I know that we're in a lockdown, and I know that's got its difficulties, but I'm not afraid of looking. And actually, it's made me take steps to be much more sensible with my money. I think because I had that reliability and I knew that was coming in. I was, I just wasn't very good with money. I was rubbish. Thinking I was good and I was in control of it all. I was not. But since I've lost the security and the knowledge that that's coming at the end of every month, it's actually it forced me. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's forced me to get better and to grow up and actually take responsibility. And I'm much better off now. Even though I've barely got that in, I haven't got that regular income coming in the same way. I'm so much better off now because I'm not relying on it anymore. It held me in a place. And yeah, it did. It held me, and it almost kept me prisoner.
It does, doesn't it? And I think what's really powerful about being self-employed is, yes, there's a mindset shift where you have to get used to that the money kind of comes in little pots, so little streams of money come in, and you're not sort of, like there's not going to be that one big bulk amount of money coming in on a set day. I mean, you could set up your business, could you run it like that, but actually for me it's so much more freeing to live in that space. I'm like, actually, I'm in full control now. If I want to do a launch and I want to make some money because I've got something big coming up or whatever it is, I want to put on an extra class. If I want to sort of get some more one-to-one clients, and it's about the financial benefits of that. And I'm in full control of that. And on top of that, I can then also kind of set my own limits in terms of what I believe is possible for me to generate. That's all it is. We work on these energetic frequencies where, when you're getting a set salary each month, that's kind of your ceiling limit for what you expect in terms of income. And you calibrate to that frequency. Whereas now you're in a really freeing position where actually you're understanding your relationship with money a little bit more.
Yeah.
And this is something that we were going to talk about on this line.
No, but
it's putting yourself on the frequency for receiving unlimited amounts of abundance and income. And also, because when you are getting a set salary, that's you calibrate to that's the limit, But now this is open to understanding that money and abundance can flow in from all different areas of our lives, in all different ways. And I actually find it quite exciting, but it is just that little bit of jumping off the cliff and trusting that you're going to be held.
It's a huge truck. And I suppose in my own head, I've always got the knowledge that I have got the qualifications behind me. It's not like if and I always said, do you know what? If I completely fall flat on my face and I actually can't run my own business, I have a qualification that I can go back and I can utilize. There's always, and that's it. There's always something that I can do with that, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to go back and be a school teacher in a primary school. There's transferable skills there that you can utilize somewhere else. And I think part of it is about building a bit of faith in yourself. And I know I don't want it to sound sycophantic or but honestly, doing the exhale training, it's one of the things that gave me the faith in myself, because I was able to explore those things about myself. And as I say, I realized, it made me realize I had this massive fear. I had this huge fear around the financial security of it. But since actually letting that go, that has led to so much more freedom for me. And, I'm free from that sort of that chain.
That's what I love about it. It's not just restricted to exhale training, even though it is the best. But, meditation, though, itself, that's what it's designed to do, isn't it? It's designed to put you in a place where you are completely at ease with who you are. That's a
Yeah.
journey over life, like none of us are at a position right now to be able to say, I completely and wholly and fully accept everything, love everything about who I am. It is a slow,
It's a journey.
see, yeah, and to see the journey that you've been on, and even in the WhatsApps and the Facebook messages that we send to each other and things like that, like, and I'll ask you to do things, and I know that when you first joined us, there's no way, even this, there's no way on earth you would have done it. It's powerful, isn't it? That
It is.
it's resetting you, letting you face all of those fears around. We're all scared of rejection. We're all scared of judgment. That's basically the motivating factor for pretty much everything we do in life, until we become aware of it. And then what we're doing right now and what you've been able to do, even though it was scary, is really just lean into this is what brings me joy. And that and being able to be that free because I'm just going to do what lights me up, and I know when I do that, the money will come. And ultimately, the job that you're doing in both your businesses is of service.
Yeah.
And it's fulfilling and it's beautiful. And it's about, I really believe in karma. I really believe in that cycle of like what you put out comes back tenfold. So, but a lot of it is about that personal belief and just letting go of the steering wheel, knowing that your desires are gifted to you, your joy, that calling within you is there for a reason, and following it, you're going to be supported. But until you actually throw yourself off the cliff, and I've said this, I love this analogy, but I've said it a few times over the past few weeks, but if you throw yourself off the cliff, do the scary thing, you're gonna like hit a few rocks. You're gonna get a bit battered and bruised and sort of roll down the side of the cliff, but eventually your wings are gonna unfold and you're gonna soar. But if you never jumped off, you would never know your potential. You wouldn't, and I think that lesson, especially for mums, obviously we're supposed to be talking about meditation for mums, but I think that how powerful to show your children, I'm following my joy. You don't have to stay in your little box. You don't have to stay on that one career path just because that's the thing to do. You can look outside yourself and evolve and change and grow and just...
Even when you're nearly 40.
Hey?
Even when you're nearly 40, you can go completely off.
Thing, isn't it? That we think we get in our heads that there's this timeline, and society gives us the timeline. You should be married by the time you're 25. You should have kids by the time you're whatever it is. And gosh, I'll never get a job. If you leave that job now at age 40, oh my word. And actually, who sets these timelines? I think that's what meditation again and what exhale does with people, is it allows you to sit and know that you're not behind and you're not too far gone either. You get to set your own rules, and that's what's really powerful again about being self-employed. You set the rules, you set your own limits, you set your own goals, targets, holidays, everything.
Yeah. And I know it sounds like we're completely off topic about the whole sort of like the power of meditation for mums, but actually I'm a mum.
Yes, exactly.
And as a mum, you do lose some of your identity because you become mum. On the schoolyard, you're not you're not Emma, you are Imogen's mum. You lose an entire part of yourself, and I think. And so, even though I struggled before I was a mom, that there was, growing up, I struggled as well, and I'd struggled with identity. But then compound that with being a mom, and again, you strip away another layer of yourself because you become that role that society defines for you of what a mom is. And as I said at the start, I felt like I was just failing in both. I was failing in my career because I couldn't give the same attention as I had done to it before I had children. But then I felt like I was failing my child because I was working from 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we weren't getting home until 6 o'clock in the evening. And she was not even 12 months old, And that's a long day to be away, even though I was doing it 4 days a week, and I had Friday off. It was, that was hard. And I would beg for her to go to sleep easily at night, because then I knew I was going to have to come down and switch my laptop on to then work and plan and mark. And it was late at night, and I would be getting angry with her because she wasn't going to sleep. It wasn't her fault. But at the time, when she was little, I felt all this resentment because she wasn't going to sleep, because I needed to go and do my job. Yeah. My job was being, part of it was being a mum, but I felt like it just put me in this place where I was just failing at both. Well, I felt like I was failing at both. I wasn't doing either of them to any sort of justice. And part of the thing with meditation has helped me to see that it's helped me to look back at that without the guilt, without the sorrow, and just see that was part and parcel of where I was at that time, rather than punishing. I could constantly punish myself for the way I would have acted, if you like, at that time, as a new mom. But meditation's given me the power to be able to look back on that time with compassion for myself. When I've done postnatal yoga, and there's a lovely yoga nidra meditation that I do sometimes, and it's about looking down upon yourself with compassion and going back to see the person you were before you were a mom, and coming back to the person you are now. And every time I do it, it gets me. Every time I think about it now, it makes me feel really emotional. But when I've done it for the mums as well, they said afterwards, God, that made me cry. Because we don't give ourselves any compassion.
No, we don't. And like the way that we talk to ourselves, the way that we judge ourselves, and I think a lot of our fear around judgment and acceptance is because we are so heavily critical of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think for those of you that don't really understand how meditation works, one of the things that it does do for you is it gets you out of that really stressed out state where your body and your brain is designed to think negatively. Like part of your survival mechanism is for you to have kind of critical thoughts. It's supposed to be about your surroundings in order to keep you safe. So I need to think about every single thing that could go wrong in the world right now to keep me safe, because that's part of my survival mechanism. But what's happened as we've evolved is we've turned on ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we've got a little angel and a little devil on our shoulders. And they are like, and I say this every time as well, it's like that ticket that's scrolling along the bottom. That's the voices of the angel and the devil going through your head, like constantly on repeats, like just literally scrolling along. But what's really difficult is that the devil is louder, and it gets even louder when we're stressed. And when are you more stressed? Than when you've had a baby, when you're a mom. Yeah, exactly. When you're trying to manage 2 jobs, and just as you described, I remember that well, like being with other people's children all day, going to the nursery, and my child's the last one there at nursery for me to pick up. I went on the same journey as you, but as you say, that guilt, the way we talk to ourselves, is built from that we're really stressed anyway, but also from society's kind of expectations. Women at the moment in this day and age are expected to be all things to all people. But what meditation allows us to do is to get quiet enough so that we're able to hear that angel, that voice of self-love. And if we can't hear that, all the other thing it teaches us to do, because that angel might be a little bit quiet if you've not used it for a little bit of time, which is the norm for most people. What it also enables us to do is to catch that scroll. So it's almost like I can see that scroll going through my mind. And when you see the way that you talk to yourself, and you really think to yourself, would I say that to somebody else? When you have that ability to catch those thoughts and to separate themselves from yourself, and I'm not saying you can do it every single time, but when you can do that more often than not and catch those thoughts and put them down, you're then able to choose a different one. And what is brilliant about meditation and about what we do with exhale in terms of our scripts we use and things, it allows you to come from a place then where you have full love, trust, and acceptance for yourself. And then when you're coming from that place, you're able to pick kinder, nicer thoughts. And remember, everything that is everything that exists in this world starts with thoughts. Your thoughts influence your emotions influence your behavior influences your body language. It goes on this big cycle of things, but essentially it all starts with a thought. So I just thought that was interesting for us to say. If anyone is sat there thinking, but how can meditation help me love myself a little bit more? That's just one example.
Yeah.
We could be, we could probably talk about this for yonks, about years, about the other different ways. Because one of the other things that we also do with meditation as well is where we've got access to your subconscious brain. So when you're listening to me right now, you're using your prefrontal cortex, you're using your thinking part of the brain that understands language and all of that kind of stuff. But what we actually are able to access is the other parts of your brain, and some would say your soul, and we talk to that part of the brain where you hold all your limiting beliefs, where you hold all of the way that you minimize yourself, the way that you criticize yourself, all of those not so nice things that maybe you don't intellectually know that you do, but you are doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Access that, take them out, and put some new ones in there. And
Positive things in there.
positive beliefs, because we come to this earth like perfect whole, and knowing that, and it's just over time we lose that. So what we're really passionate about doing is taking you back to that place when you remember that you're beautiful, when you remember that you are capable of anything that your heart desires. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
But stop myself there. Let's talk about mums then. So talk me then, in your line of work, so you're a perinatal, I would say perinatal specialist. So in a minute, you can explain to us what perinatal means, but also why practices like meditation and mindfulness and yoga are so important for mums. You want to talk us through that? And then, like I say, what does perinatal mean, if you don't know?
So perinatal is that whole journey. It's that journey from when you are pregnant to when you are a mom. So we're not splitting it up into the before and the after. This is that whole journey. That perinatal part is literally from the moment you decide that you want to conceive to when you're a mom and forevermore. We always joke, people say, how long can I come to the postnatal classes for? Well, you're always postnatal. Once you've had a child, you are forever postnatal, aren't you? You're not you're not fourth trimester postnatal, but you are postnatal.
Yeah, that's so true, because you do think, oh, that's a cut-off now. I'm not able to attend your class anymore.
Yeah.
So for the baby classes, I suppose, I can't be bringing my 7-year-old.
Yeah. I suppose if you wanted to put an end point on it, sort of from the classes that I sort of do, you're probably looking up to around about 18 months age 2. Is sort of like where you would probably be able to move on, unless you really love them. Although what I found is so many of the women that I connected with whilst before I would be pre-exhale, when I was doing just the antenatal and the postnatal, so when I was doing the perinatal stuff alone, a lot of the mums that connected with me then have now found me as exhale, and they now come to the exhale sessions because they marry along so beautifully, and we're all working on the same sort of lines. It's all the same sort of places that we're trying to access, and the same place of service, as you said before. And so they're connecting with me again now, and so I've got these mums coming back to me.
That's beautiful. And do you know what? It's the same no matter what it is, whether it's the yoga, the pregnancy stuff, so you help people prepare for birth, and whether it's the postnatal things that you do, or whether it's an exhale class. What we're providing is a really safe space for people to just go decompress, press the reset button, and just be themselves. And just to highlight what you were saying before about, we play this role that society defines of what a mum looks like, and sometimes in the midst of, especially when you're a very new mum, you're playing this role and nobody knows that that's not the truth of how you're feeling. Like for me, I did not tell a soul that I was finding it hard. I didn't, because I felt, oh gosh, if I admit that, I mean, my anxiety was in full effect then. I was like, gosh, if I admit that, they might even take my child away from me. You know, like you go that far down the road with it. And I just think it's a really nice place where there's no expectations. If you don't want to speak, you don't have to speak, but if you do want to, we'll hold space for you in that way. And sometimes we don't need any advice. As women, and we don't really want the advice, do we? We just want somebody to hear.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what's really beautiful. And my experience sort of echoes yours really, in that I had the whole reason why I set up Exhale actually was because I had so many people that had worked with me when I had my antenatal business, my pregnancy and birth prep business, that were saying, oh no, like I can't come to your classes anymore, what shall I do? And so, you know, and I put that off a little bit and then thought, actually, that, you know, people need this. We are so, I loved being pregnant because people look after you and you look after yourself and you've got an excuse to have a bath and, you know, be waited on and just all those little things that make us feel good. We never afford ourselves that time once you've got a child, you know, or even probably for the rest of your life. It's like a period of time where I then appreciate for some people it's difficult pregnancy, but it is a time where you kind of are cocooned in love usually, aren't you? So that's what's nice, is that you're providing that for people, that continuity all the way through now. So talk us through why is it so powerful for mums, whether they are about to have their baby or whether they've had their baby, or as you say, whether they're in that never ending why is it so powerful? What's your experience of it? What's it done for you, I suppose, and for your clients?
Yeah, so I guess if you think about it, you know, whenever I was teaching my antenatal stuff, I knew we touched on, you know, we had the relaxation scripts and I was reading those, but without really understanding what the power was behind that. And it wasn't until I sort of trained and did the Exhale training and really looked underneath all of that I understood the power behind what we were actually giving to people. As you mentioned about getting into the subconscious and planting those positive messages. You know, affirmations are all well and good, and you can stand in front of the mirror and affirm yourself, you know, until the cows come home. But bypassing that prefrontal cortex and going into that subconscious and planting those seeds of positivity, if you like, and those messages that are just going to help people to, you know, get past those self-limiting beliefs. And I mean, when you think about pregnancy and giving birth, there's so much fear and anxiety and a lack of knowledge around all of that. And you know, there's this whole there's a bit of a sort of, you know, a pedestal of the birth where, you know, you have no pain relief and it all goes perfectly swimmingly. And I think we're missing the bit where we look at, okay, well, what if we don't have that type of birth? Or what if we do have that type of birth, but for us, a part of that was perhaps maybe even traumatic, that we would consider to be, you know, that we flash back, even though, you know, on textbook on paper, it looks like we have the perfect pregnancy, the perfect journey. But what about if there's that part of us that feels that something didn't go right, or something that we keep revisiting and we can't let go of? And I think that we, you know, we really need to provide a space for women to be able to understand and give them tools and techniques that will help them regardless of how their birth journey goes. So, you know, even if you need, you know, there's no judgment around having, you know, using pain relief. If that's what you, empowering women to sort of have that choice, and this is me, this is what I want to do, this is the best decision for me, regardless of what society brings in. And I think meditation and you know, those relaxation techniques and the mindfulness and all of that helps women to start to find their own voice and to find their own power and to be able to make the choices that are right for them. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do for women, above and beyond, you know, telling them that, you know, oh, this is so your birth will go and you can breathe your baby out, and you know, that's all well and good, and you know, there are, and I think it is and I also think it is a mindset thing as well. If we can again, bypass that fear that we've got, that logical part of the brain where we're thinking about all the consequences and looking for the negativity around what could go wrong with birth. If we can bypass that and plant in there some ideas around, you've got this, it's, you know, regardless, you know, you can make your choices, and you've got your power, you'll find your power, and you can work through that regardless of how your birth journey goes. And I think that's where we can really benefit women, helping them to sort of connect with that inner power and that, you know, that inner confidence.
Yeah, and trusting themselves a little bit. Well, you know, that, how powerful is that? And as you say, one of the things that resonated with me then was when you said, you know, we're told, as women, we're told how to do everything. Men get to choose. I mean, I'm like not a massive feminist or anything, but sometimes I get in these conversations and I'm like, hang on a minute, it's not fair. They don't get told in the same way. You like this, be this size, look like that, do your hair like this, have a job like that, talk to each other
like that.
And then on top of that, you must birth your baby like that as well. So I think that's so powerful because you're giving women through what you do with Exhale, but also the other part of your business as well, in terms of the birth prep and also the yoga, and supporting them when they come into that postnatal period where again you're told this is when you should wean your baby, this is when you should, you know, you shouldn't back your baby to this way, you should do this, you should do that, you should do the other. And also if you're not also like having sex with your partner and making everyone tea and doing all those things, and
Perfect.
amazing, you know, like we're just bombarded, aren't we? So I think being the gift that you're giving is that we are allowing people to get back in touch with their breath, back in touch with their bodies, and which is really powerful, obviously, when your body is so changed by carrying life.
Yeah.
But also, just what that also does is it allows us to get back in touch with ourselves. So the breath is the gateway to the soul. The body, when it moves mindfully, you know, you're so much more in touch with those subtle signals that your body gives you that tells you, actually, I'm not in alignment with that. You know, that makes me feel uncomfortable. That place, I'm not really keen on doing that thing, you know, and maybe that's not right for me. But what you're allowing people to do is to really slow down and learn to listen to themselves underneath the noise of society. And you were absolutely right in what you were saying in terms of you hear so many kind of like, you know, positivity coaches and all people like that talking about affirmations, and they are powerful. But the problem is when you are stressed, this part of the brain that understands that isn't working. So it's not gonna go in. You know, you've got to bypass that somehow. Yeah, exactly. We do that quite a few ways, don't we? In Excel, today, but that is something that's really powerful about what we do. So I just wanted to pop on what because Chloe is commenting, so I just wanted to show you, because I don't know if you can see them. But Chloe was saying that it's so true. She had a perfect birth by textbook, but a couple of things I struggled with, I've had to work through. And I hear that a lot, actually. People who where they've had a home birth by accident, say, and people will say, "Oh my gosh, oh that was you."
Well, it was sort of a I planned a home birth, but I didn't plan not to have a midwife.
Yes, that's it. And then people go, amazing, your baby just flew out, and then they're like, actually, that was quite you know, traumatic, really. You know, so it's really.
I completely can't remember.
I feel like for you, Emma, one of the things that you're beautiful at is holding space and almost holding that vision of people as whole, regardless of the circumstances of how they show up to class, whatever class that you're teaching. And I think that's so beautiful about the work that you do, is that you're able to just sit alongside them and just hold that vision of them when they can't see the beauty in themselves and the beauty in their experience and all of those things. You're really good at giving off that vibe of I've got you. You know,
it's almost being in that space of like, I accept you. I get it. It's acceptance, isn't it? And ultimately, like you said, that's what we all want. But we want providing it in a way that doesn't that doesn't shoot people down, that doesn't make them feel like they're not doing the right thing. It's acceptance. You come as you are, and accepting that's it, that's enough.
Yeah. And I think you can only do that truly when you're on that journey yourself.
Yeah.
I think for you, I mean, you were amazing what you did before you came to Exhale, but now it's just such a natural. You're an embodiment of it. Really. Whereas
Power
before,
through some of my own box.
yeah, exactly. So I'm super duper proud of you. But is there anything on 45 minutes now? So is there anything else that you wanted to talk to us about in terms of why people, and this is your link if anyone is interested in working with Emma, but why, yeah, anything else that we've not already covered about why this is so
I think
powerful?
I've made all these notes and I've not talked about any of them.
Okay, if there's anything on there that you want to,
well, I suppose one of the really big benefits of meditation is it increases oxytocin production. Now, any birth worker knows the power and the importance of oxytocin. One, when you're in labour, and actually even postnatally, the power of that hormone, that love hormone, that bonding hormone, that helps you to feel safe and secure. And it increases self-care, it increases self-love, and just that nurturing side of you. And I think that meditation and the way that we can integrate that into a pregnancy yoga class or a postnatal yoga class, and help people to sort of increase their own oxytocin production. That's just massive. That's just it taps into something that is really powerful. Certainly for birth. It's one of the most powerful hormones for birth, but also postnatally as well, and that bonding with your baby.
important. And I think I've spoken on here before about it, but that is the power of that allowed me to connect with my little boy after 6 months of feeling really disconnected, just going through the motions. Like I knew that I loved it here, but like it took until I got back into my meditation practice because of the mental health situation I found myself in. It was only then, with the help of the oxytocin, that I was able to reconnect to that love that I had from the feet and feel it properly, feel it here. But the other thing I want to say about oxytocin, since you brought it up, is that it's a healing hormone. So one of the things that's amazing about oxytocin is it does all those kind of like that feel good sort of sensation, as you described, that bonding, sense of connection, sense of love, and if you hug someone for long enough, you will get oxytocin. And how beautiful does it feel just to be cuddled up to somebody that you love and you care about? But what it also does is it reverses the damage the stress hormones do. So when we're super stressed at the moment, just that powerful breath work that we teach at Exhale, all dropping into that body coherence, which again releases the oxytocin. That hormone knows where the damage is, and it goes to the heart and heals it. Like when you learn about this stuff, you're like, oh my word, why? I say this and I'd be like, why isn't everybody meditating? Because it's so easy. And then I've healed all the damage that I've been doing to myself every time I've had a big stress meltdown. At least I know that if I'm not on that even keel, and the techniques that we use are great for de-stressing you, taking you out that stressful point. As I say, they almost reverse the damage of previous stressful episodes. Because every time we get stressed, the body releases these hormones which are damaging to ourselves. Something else just popped into my head that I know that you're really good at talking about, and really relevant to mums in the last couple of minutes before we go. We've talked in the past about how we are, as mums, the emotional barometer for the home for our children. So just talk me through what you mean by that and why that's so important in terms of the context of how we're speaking today.
So I guess how you're feeling does massively impact everybody else. So I'll see it in my own house. If I'm stressed, if I'm not doing, if I'm not in a good place, I can see that ripple effect out into everybody else, and so sometimes but what's really lovely now is that I can recognize that now, and I can see that happening, and again, without passing any sort of criticism or judgment on myself. But if I can see that happening, I'm so much more aware of it, and it's easier to press the reset button and to help, if I can do that for myself, saying, that old saying about putting your own oxygen mask on first. If you can do that for yourself, and if you can help yourself, then the way that you are behaving and just what you're putting out there, it's going to have that effect on everybody else around you. At the moment in our home, obviously, because we can't go anywhere else. But it does. If I can see that if I am coming from a better place, if I've been able to press my own reset button, I can then help everybody else around me to press their own reset buttons. If they, especially in young children, if they haven't got they haven't got that understanding, they haven't got that ability all the time to do that for themselves. They need us to do that for them. And I think, when I've been able to reset that for myself, I've been able to then help and reset the emotional barometer that's going on in our home as well.
It's so true, isn't it? Like when we are operating from that place of stress, it's driven by fear, it's driven by worry, anxiety, and it's not really our fault at the moment. That's what we want to get across to people, is that if you are snapping and shouting at your partner, at the children, at the world, it's absolutely okay and understandable. And even as meditation instructors, we will have days like that. But what our practice gives us is an opportunity it gives us space, and it gives us a quicker rebound button, if you like. So it really improves our resilience, because what it allows us to do is, as Emma was describing, then witness our unhelpful behaviours, witness when we're going into that spiral of doom almost, and when we are, we're able to separate ourselves from that, but also we're able to pick ourselves back up again more quickly. So everyone is entitled to sit with the sorrow, the deep sorrow that exists in the world at the moment. Like the world's in pain, so we all sit in that. And sometimes that pain comes out as anger. Sometimes it comes out as frustration. It manifests itself. So I think it's absolutely okay to sit there and to feel that, because as well, if you don't, it's just going to come up at a later stage.
Yeah.
What meditation allows you to do is to sit with it all and know that you're okay and still beautiful. And actually our humanness is actually as gorgeous as all of the sort of the grace and the divinity that we also have within us. But it's that rebound rate is much quicker.
Yeah, I've noticed that in myself. I find it so much like for years and a part of my journey is, I wouldn't have said I had postnatal depression, but I certainly had elements of what would be classed as maybe you can class it as sort of mild, and also the frustration and the anger.
Yeah.
And it felt so bad for feeling angry, or like I felt angry all the time. And I
angry about being angry.
Yeah. I'm angry because I'm angry. But yeah, you do, and then the guilt comes in, and then and you're in that constant. But I recognize quicker when I'm getting to that point again, and I recognize that it's not okay for me to just power through that anymore. That's what I've done for years. I've power, and that's done me no good. It's done anybody else in my house. That's done them no good either. And being able to recognize that in myself now, I feel less guilty about, the mum guilt about taking that bit of time for yourself. I don't feel the guilt around that anymore. It's like, I deserve that, because hey, I'm holding you lot up here, so I deserve to have to either hold that space myself, or go somewhere, or find somebody who's going to hold that for me as well. So find somebody who's going to hold me. I'm terrible for just holding myself all the time and bringing, holding everybody else up, and then I let my own time go. And so now I accept that I need that. That's part and parcel of it, because if I don't, I'm not going to be in as good a place for everybody else.
Absolutely. And I think that's it, it's understanding that it's not at all, there's nothing about that that's selfish, it's actually of service. Again, whilst the primary focus is on yourself, because when you show up from that loving place of understanding your needs, understanding your breaking points, and from that place of being able to get quiet and still enough. And I don't mean needs to be silenced, because that's not what it feels about at all. And we sometimes find that place of quiet and that ability to turn within through music and through breathwork and through movement, rather than just being sat in silence. But what my point is that when you are showing up like that, and knowing that children model our behaviour, it doesn't matter what we say to them, they, they are modelling us, how we behave, how we show up in the world. Like, what a gift you are giving your children by taking that hour out of your week. I mean, think about how many hours there are in a week. You can absolutely find
enough.
But I think, again, it's because of this, the way that we sort of think we're behind all the time. I need to do this, I need to clean the house, I need to blah, 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 all that stuff. But you come first, especially at the moment. We need to show up in our homes as the one that feels stable, secure, and just is filled up, so that we're able to hold our children.
And again, the whole thing about the oxytocin, not only are we nurturing ourselves, but actually, like you said, we're coming from a place of nurturing as well. So by giving ourselves that time to build our oxytocin stores, we can come at things in a much more nurturing way.
It is really good. And Chloe is it's mind blowing. She's talking about the power of oxytocin. It is. And people don't know this. We don't get taught these kind of things, So it's really amazing. As I say, it's something that we talk about in depth within our community. And some of the training, I do know people when they watch the videos and stuff, people are like, "Oh, like it changes." You're like, what? And so anyway, we've been on now 56 minutes, so we are going to but again, you've got a whole list of things that you didn't get to say. I could
It's fine. I think I covered it. Just through what
it's good. Yeah. No, perfect. Good. So thank you, everyone that's joined us. Please do let us know your thoughts, and also I'd be really interested to hear from people that are mums that do meditate and how it benefits you from your perspective as well. Because there's so much that's the amazing thing about meditation as well, is that it's a different experience for everybody, because you're all in your own different heads. So it's going to be different every time for every single one of us. So please do feedback with any comments. And that's it. Join me tomorrow. I think I'm doing a live tomorrow. You'll see a lot of me this week. I'm doing a live tomorrow about our training specifically. Then on Thursday, I'm going live with one of our instructors, Jane, and we're going to be talking about how meditation has helped her grow her business. And then on Friday, I'm doing another instructor showcase with one of our instructors, Lisa, and she's going to be talking about her specific niche as well. So it's all very exciting. Any questions about anything postnatally, or anything about being pregnant and being a mum, head over to Emma here. Anything, any questions at all, any comments, please do send them to myself as well. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. Let's have a look. So somebody, I don't know who this is, because you've not signed up to StreamYard, but she's saying, or he is saying, thank you for your time. I'm a new mom and I've just opened a yoga studio. I'm looking to add meditation onto our timetable. Absolutely. Drop me a message or Emma a message about how you can do that, and we will help and support you. That's what these past 2 weeks have been about. Just absolutely giving you the power, the confidence, the skills, the knowledge, just to get you started. And then you make that decision, do you want to come on board and work alongside Exhale as well. But definitely messages if you need more support. It's very exciting, actually, isn't it? So I'm going to go before it gets to an hour. It's really difficult for me to upload it anywhere. But yeah, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.